في ربوع المجد كنا نرفع النصر المبين ونعيد الحق إن عبد رب العالمين. في ربوع المجد كنا نرفع النصر المبين ونعيد الحق إن عبد رب العالمين. كلنا عون الإله يا إله العالمين، كلنا عون الإله يا إله.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to another episode of the Prophetic Dynasty. On the last episode, Ustadh Wisam Sharieff brought the story of Adam to a close and introduced the story of Habil and Qabil, which will continue today inshallah. We encourage you to take part in the lecture and take notes where possible throughout the series. In this episode, Ustadh Wisam Sharieff continues this discussion of Habil and Qabil and informs us of all the lessons within the story. In the next episode, Ustadh Wisam Sharieff furthers the discussion of the Prophet sheath and notions of the Prophetic Dynasty as we look to the stories of the Prophet on an open canvas, finding the relevance of the story to our everyday life.
And you can actually take a step back here and say, the commandment of Allah was for Abel to marry Qabil's sister, but he didn't like that. So then he continued. Eventually we find bil-haq that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in ayah number 27 of Surah Ma'idah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted Abel's sacrifice of the lamb, the sheep, whatever was there, and he did not accept Qabil. Now this is something that we realize. You know, sometimes we pray salah, sometimes we do a good action, and they were like, okay, Allah, I'm done. And we kind of just turn away and be like, I'm done, you should be happy with me. But this is where our sincerity comes. And we talked about this last week. When Ibrahim alayhi salam finished building the Kaaba, I mean, like, it doesn't get bigger than this, guys. He finished building the Kaaba. What did he say to Allah? Allahumma taqabbal minna. Oh Allah, accept what I did. Not that it's good enough. Nothing's good enough for you. Allah, accept what I did. وَتُوبَ عَلَيْنَا. And forgive me. For what? For building the Kaaba? No, for any shortcomings along the way. When we pray salah, astaghfirullah al-azim, astaghfirullah al-azim, when we finish. When we break our fast, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. When you're good to your parents, thank Allah. When you remove Allah from the picture, you end up like Iblis. You end up like Qabil, very thick-headed, very arrogant. So upon this, Abel turns over to his brother and said, Allah accepted mine, he didn't accept yours. There's a chance. What happened, and this was something that I give this lesson to the brothers. It doesn't affect women as much, but this is the beginning of time. We have something inside of us innately, and that is our ego. When we allow our ego to start dictating who's more religious, well, he's got a beard and a topi and he looks like he's acting religious. You know, people do that to people who are trying to follow the sunnah. Oh, he's showing off. It's like, man, how is he showing off? The ego starts to kick. Oh, that girl, she's wearing hijab. She must think she's better than me. But she didn't say anything to you. We start to let the ego overwhelm. And that's what happened to Qabil. We all know the story, so I'm going to give you some small details and we'll move through it. If you'd like to study more, of course, I want to veer you away from the biblical version. In the biblical version, they were fighting over a girl. They were not fighting over a girl here. This was his discomfort with who was going to marry, but he was angry that his sacrifice was accepted and mine wasn't. And does anyone know what happened next? He didn't just kill his brother. Remember, human beings don't know how to do anything until you do what? Until you show them. Someone doesn't know what smoking is until they see it. Someone doesn't know what backbiting is until they do it. No one knows how to lie until it's done. Iblis, shaitan, showed Qabil. You do realize human beings can die. And if you were to by accidentally take this thing over here and, you know, bang it on this side of his head, he'll die. And that's it. That's all shaitan needs to do. All shaitan needs to do is say, you do know he has a Facebook, right? You do know that you could tweet him, right? You know if you looked him up online. You know if you saw this, no one would see you seeing it. You know, if you took a little bit of interest, well, this is what interest. All he has to do is indicate that's how it's done. Then he walks away. There's a famous old poet who wrote that Iblis will come into a baker's shop and put a little bit of butter on the wall. You all know this one, right? And then a fly falls on the butter, and a lizard tries to eat the fly, and then someone swats the lizard, and it stops. It's how shaitan starts. He does something small, and he makes a ruckus for someone else. Adam alayhi salam's son Qabil was taught, this is how you kill, and he killed. But the lesson that we need to extract from ayah number 27 of Surah Ma'idah is it's not only that he taught him, but Iblis will only stay with you as long as you do, as long as you're in the act. As long as you're chatting, as long as you're in the act of excitement, he'll stay. As soon as you lie, as soon as you commit zina, as soon as you do something wrong, where does he go? Allah, I didn't do anything. This insan, man, astaghfirullah. Insan is just, Allah, these guys are bad. He will split in a heartbeat. And we realize two things from this lesson. Iblis will stay with you until you reach a state. Remember, lust is not an act. What is lust as defined? In your brain, it's a state of mind. Anger is not an act. It's a state of mind. Iblis will fan the flame until you pop. Then he walks away, and then human nature takes over. So Iblis taught him how to kill, and as soon as he killed, we realized that Qabil felt regret. And then shaitan hits his second target. He makes you do haram by whispering, and then after you have fallen and made the mistake, what does he do? He says, astaghfirullah. How could you're going to ask forgiveness from Allah? Gee, look how dirty you are. And that regret overtakes you. And really, that's when you feel horrible. Do not fall prey to shaitan, as narrated by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the sound books. When a believer feels happiness in his good deeds and sadness in his bad deeds, it's a sign that he's a mu'min. When you pray salah and you're like, thank you Allah, I prayed Fajr today. And you wake up after Fajr, and you wake up again, and you're like, Allah, thank you for Fajr. And you're happy, sign you're a believer. When you miss a prayer, when you disrespect your father, when you listen to a song, and you're like, man, this is filthy. It's got a nice beat, but it's filthy. When you do that, and you walk away and have remorse in your heart, sign that you're a believer. Qabil felt it, he felt remorse, but now we realize what happened. He went back up into the mountains, and Dad was like, who's Dad, by the way? Adam alayhi salam. How's your day? What's going on? Everything's good? And he had this gloominess, this sadness with him. The gloominess pushed him so much that he didn't know what to answer to his dad. Eventually packed up his stuff, came down from the mountain and said, I'm not living here anymore. And does anyone know how he learned to bury his brother? The crow. A crow came, pecked at the earth, put some seeds inside, and he even said it was remorse. It was the beginning of depression, anxiety, the gloominess that fills our life today was there. He didn't see it as a crow teaching him a gift. He saw it as, what kind of sorry human being am I that I don't even know how to bury someone? So when you sin, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends you an angel, sends you some words, sends you a lecture, don't feel self-pity. Allah didn't create us to loathe. Ask Allah for forgiveness. Say, Allah, you're so high that when I made this sin, it didn't affect you, I won't sin again. 4 things that we take from when we make a mistake. And I want you to know this, I've been repeating it every week. Then we move directly after he buried his son. What are the 4 stages to tawbah? You have to know this because then it will just become another Lives of Prophet series. And I can give you that on DVD. And you can listen to it on your own. 4 things. Tawbah. Give me the number 1 stage of tawbah. When I do something wrong, what's the first thing? And young people, you should hit this on the head. When you do tawbah, before you say astaghfirullah, what should you do? Go ahead. Feel bad. Know that it's wrong. Beautiful. Excellent. You should say, Allah, this is wrong. Astaghfirullah al-azim comes as an outcome to something being wrong. Why is this? Friends, I have been in places where people are drinking alcohol. Astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah. Yeah, it's real. It's real. Do they believe that it's wrong? Allahu alam, I don't judge their heart. They're intoxicated. But when you feel something's wrong, you say, Allah, this is wrong, and you push it away, then you say astaghfirullah. No, we don't judge. Na'udhu billah min dhalik. If anyone took from my words that we judge these people, don't. We don't know the situation of the people who are left in these hard times. Just make dua, رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ. Let it never be that you are attending Prophetic Dynasty in the masjid at 8 o'clock and then 4 years from now you're sitting in a very uncomfortable place. Let that not be the case. Make dua for those people who are in tough times, and then do the same. Acknowledge that it's wrong. Ask for Allah's forgiveness. Replace it with a good deed. So if you did something haram, you missed a prayer, make it up. You disrespected your parents, go and ask for their forgiveness. You lied to someone, tell them. You backbited about someone. Even on social media, go to that person, text that person, I backbited about you, I need your forgiveness. It will never happen again after that. Fourth, what can you do? Make intention. And I had a lot of trouble on this. Remember last week? I was like, I could do the first three personally, but I got stuck on the fourth because I was like, Allah, I'll never miss a prayer again. Then what happened? I missed a prayer again. But the intention is, Allah, I never want to make this sin again. Allah, I talked to this boy in my school for a little bit longer. My heart was telling me, you gave the math homework, you gave the information. Now you're just chit-chatting. Allah, I'll never do this again. When my heart is telling me it's wrong, then I'll leave it alone. So Qabil buried his brother, realized what was wrong, realized that he made a mistake, and he went away. Qabil is now living on the flat plains of the earth. We have approximately 20 minutes to now move to the most important part for the evening, and that would be, no, don't do this to me. We now introduce a new prophet into the system. And that new prophet is Sheeth alayhi salatu wassalam, the second prophet that we have covered. In 2 topics, we've been doing the introduction and Adam alayhi salam. Now we need to bring the end of Adam alayhi salam. So we realize that Adam alayhi salam was at the end of his life. 960 years of his life have come to pass. The angel came to him, and what did he say? Are you sure? I think I got 40 years left on this bad boy. I'm almost sure I got some more time. Angel said, don't you remember you gave the life to Dawood? And what did Adam alayhi salam say? No, I didn't. Flat out, the words are in Bukhari. No, I didn't. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Adam forgot, so the son of Adam will forget too. We said we will give a chance to human beings if they forget. Adam alayhi salam was happy to go back to Allah. We take one moment to take this phrase. Sometimes I want you to take the attitude of prophets. In the time and age that we live right now, if I told you a young man died, you would feel sad. And I encourage, have rahmah, tawbah, be sad. But if I told you someone happily went to Allah, you should rejoice. If you hear, and I know it's hard, but once a mother told me that we were burying her 3-year-old child who had drowned in the bathtub, and I was crying, and she said, don't cry. My kid's going to heaven. What are you crying for? My child goes to Allah. I'm happy. My eyes will weep later because I miss my kid. But she said, I don't miss my kid as much as I miss speaking to Allah. So I make dua to Allah. It's a different perspective. It's a different way to look at life. So when Adam alayhi salam was 960 and he was about to die, he was happy because where was he going? He was unlike any of us. He was like, oh, this place is done? This place where we have to go to the bathroom and pick our nose and cut our nails? I remember that. At the end of Adam alayhi salam's life, he had gotten fairly ill. He got a bad fever. And in this fever, he called to Allah. He said, Allah, you know those fruits that were in Jannah? Could I have some of those now? Because he was sick. When you're sick, you remember the best of times. Right? You go to the best of times. He said, Allah, let me get some of the Jannah fruits. Can I get some of the Jannah fruits? And the riwayah tells us that he told Allah spoke to him and instructed him, if you go to the top of this mountain, you will find similar. Nothing like Jannah, but similar to Jannah. So upon this, Adam alayhi salam, happily went back to his Creator. And we rewind the tape. At the age of 100, he had a son, and the name of his son was Sheath. Say it properly for me. Bring your tongue out, everyone. Sheath. Or pronounced in English as Seth, right? Isn't that Seth is correct? And Mufti Menk has his opinion that it could also be referring in Gujarati to Seth. Allahu Alam, I respect that opinion. It could be an extension. Allahu Alam, we leave it at this. Sheath alayhi salam, and I really now I want you to buckle up. Because what happens at the next point of this story, it's tremendous. First off, Sheath alayhi salam not mentioned in the Quran at all. Where do we find his narration? Write it down. In the books of Bukhari, we find the narration of the Prophet Sheath. So we know it's confirmed. Number two, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, 104 scrolls, you know, like Psalms scrolls, were revealed unto mankind. 104. 50 of these scrolls went to Sheath alayhi salam. A very big deal. So 50 of these scrolls were on the Prophet Sheath alayhi salam, and there was something specific. Sheath alayhi salam lived in the mountains with his dad, Adam alayhi salam, and down in the valley lived who? Qabil, good call. Qabil lived down there with his tribespeople. So now let's take a step forward. After we realized that he was a prophet, Adam alayhi salam's son Sheath only had one thing to tell his people. What story did he constantly remind his people about? Yes? Cain, actually no, because Cain and Abel hadn't come to them as much. Just the fact that someone had killed them, one step before that. Cain and Abel did come. What was the story, only story that came before that from the prophets? Sheath, okay, very good. The prophets only remind of other prophets. So who's the only other prophet? Adam alayhi salam. Good catch though. Adam alayhi salam ate from the tree. His son reminded the kids. You know what happened to Grandpa? Grandpa was in Jannah. There, Iblis tricked him by telling him lies. Don't fall prey to this. So the people of Sheath alayhi salam were well equipped. Shaitan couldn't hit them directly. Here is where we open up the trailer. You've got a beautiful mountain close to the sky. Adam alayhi salam and his son and the family members live there. Down in the valley we have a young man. He is now the leader of his tribe. His name's Qabil. The people live up there. Sheath alayhi salam tells them, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Your grandfather, he was the Khalifa. He was one who was going to come after the other. And remember, he was tricked by Iblis. You don't fall same prey. Iblis now needs to do his work. We find throughout the Quran, Iblis promising Allah, I am going to mess with the lives of these people. I will mess up the men by hypnotizing them, and I will make the women talk and devour each other and to be desperate housewives. I will make this happen. Upon this, Iblis decides, I can't get to Sheath alayhi salam's people. So you know what I'm going to do? He disguised himself. He came in the form of an old man. Now, here's the key factor. Sheath alayhi salam's men were very attractive. They were beautiful people, right? Sheath alayhi salam's, the women in the town, were beautiful. They were, and not the beauty, the photoshopped beauty you see of today. They were beautiful in the fact that they were treasures from Allah. And if you remember from the story of Qabil, how did the men look? The men? Not very pretty, right? Not very pretty. So Qabil's men, not pretty, but the women were attractive. In Sheath alayhi salam's time, the men were beautiful, and the females, not so thumbs up. So here we realize now, in the scrolls that were revealed to Sheath alayhi salam, it said, you are not allowed to mix with Qabil's people. And then that narration comes up, that Qabil's people, Qabil had killed someone. You cannot mix. So these two generations were not allowed to mix. Iblis is stuck. These guys know my tricks up here, and this tribe over here, I know they killed people, but I don't know what to do. In comes the most dramatic scene in the Quran when it comes to Shaitan's game. Surah Bani Israel, start in about ayah 36 to ayah 50.
في ربوع المجد كنا نرفع النصر المبين ونعيد الحق إن عبد رب العالمين. في ربوع المجد كنا نرفع النصر المبين، ونعيد الحق إن عبد رب العالمين. كلنا